Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Antiheroes Anonymous, or welcome for the first time if it's your first time joining us. I'm Ethan, the Dungeon Master for this 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons show! And I have 4 lovely players, one of whom is a Skype robot today, who will now introduce themselves. Nick, would you please start us off?
Hi, I'm Nick. I play Thaddeus, the human vengeance paladin.
I'm Kay. I play Harmony, who is the Tiefling Wild Magic Sorcerer.
And I'm Melissa, and I play Mara, who is a human rogue pirate full of awesomeness.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah. I'm Zach, and I play Hunter, who's a Warforged Fighter Ranger.
So a couple quick announcements, and then we'll get into a recap, and then get started right away. We stream on Twitch every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, and then post our episodes to YouTube the following Wednesday. Throughout the show, we use a variety of custom items, as well as a custom wild magic table. Our music comes from BattleBards, TabletopAudio, and Incompetech. The character portraits, which you'll see in the top right corner with the character stat cards, come to us courtesy of the artist named Carrie Peach, who is at Carrie Draws on Twitter. If you're watching us on Twitch, you can check our channel page for links and info to everything I just mentioned and more. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can check the video description for a similar set of information. Then, if you want to know more of what we're doing when we're going live, etc., you can follow us on Twitter at Antiheroes we post there sometimes. The note here still says we're on hiatus for the 15th, but that already passed. Other than that, we hope you enjoy the show and share it with your friends and come back because we do enjoy having viewers. So, a quick recap, and then we'll get straight into playing. The party went to the city of Ravenmoor to save their friend Mandus, a silver dragon and shadow monk leader of an orphanage known as First Light Orphanage, from the vampire Alkeen. Upon arriving in Ravenmoor, they saw that Queen Ixlati, a Medusa warrior queen, and her Yuan Ti followers had been enslaving citizens to build a pyramid over the portal to the Shadowfell. Venturing beneath the Raven Queen's temple, the party stood in between Alkeen and a memory of the Raven Queen's ascension to godhood and prevented him from taking it. They then told a group of refugees living beneath the city to prepare for escape on their signal, and drew the attention of a shadow dragon carrying Queen Ixlati on its back, just long enough for the citizens to head for the gate. After recuperating from this assault, the party learned that during the during the attempted escape, their friend Dawn had been kidnapped when some forces from a nemesis group known as the Eyes of the World had come to liberate the citizens of the city. Though they learned that she was not in immediate danger, and so they reluctantly entered into the Shadowfell, dragging their friend Eli in tow, where they dealt with a trio of strange skulls before encountering Ixlati and the Shadow Dragon Kydus on the fields between Alkeen's castle and the Shadowfell portal in a heated battle that lasted a mere 36 seconds or so. The party slew the Great Shadow Dragon and the Queen Ixlati, and now stand next to the bodies of their fallen foes, having just noticed that the dragon Kydus seemed to have a large ring fastened around one of its talons, and that is where we left off. So we will pick up in that very moment. You watch as Eli basically just falls over backwards onto his back and starts breathing heavily.
I think Thaddeus is gonna stagger over and pat Mara on the back. That's what I call a good start.
Yeah, I really wanted to get my hands in her hair for a long time.
I'm gonna run up to the dragon and see if I can telekinesis the ring off.
Okay, yeah. It's easy enough with telekinesis. Being a powerful force, it like grates against the claw for a second, but then as you get it to the narrower part of the claw, it pops off. And as you kind of twirl it in midair, you can see that it actually begins to, like, as you're twirling it, shrink down to a normal human finger-sized ring. But as it's doing that and twirling in the air, you notice that it's basically just a plain silver-colored metal band of some kind, but there's this stone that is set into it that gives you an impression that it's kind of hard to define. It's like it's black, but it's blacker than black. And it just gives off an eerie impression as you look at it. And it sort of slowly and magically, as it twirls in the air, shrinks down to human size. Human
I think
finger
I'll hang on
size.
to this until I can figure out what is
Human size.
human size.
Harmony, as you close your hand around it, you take 5 points of necrotic damage as
Cool.
you touch the stone part of it, and it drops from your hand down to the ground. You just feel like, and as you look at your hand, there is like a searing black mark there that is left.
Well, that's good.
Wow.
I'm going to enchant it into my bag.
But there was one other thing that happened, sorry, just before you enchanted it.
Okay.
As it came into contact with your hand, you also felt a, it's a sort of feeling you've had several times when creatures have reached into your mind to communicate with you telepathically.
Mm-hmm.
You felt a presence, and you heard a voice, and you said, "Who's that?" And then it dropped from your hand.
Cool. Yeah. Mage handing it into my bag, not touching it. And I'm gonna go walk over to Eli and be like, "Does this look infected to you?"
Oh! Melora, jeez, let me heal that. How was Harmony in terms of health, actually?
I mean, I'm only missing 10 hit points. So
I
I'm fine.
I think Eli has an ability for just that sort of injury, actually. Yeah, he puts his hand onto your palm, and you watch as his eyes glow with radiant energy, and you can see sort of the shadow of his angelic wings begin to form for half a second as healing energy pours from his hands into your hand, erasing that spot and healing you 8 hit points.
Yay! Thank you.
I feel like we may want a breather before we head into the castle.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I agree.
He's
I don't know, like,
like beaten up and dirty and bruised and bloody. Who's got that tower?
Oh, I do. I think.
Yeah, I think you do. Is it fixed yet? Does it still have
Yeah. How long has it been?
You haven't thrown it back
We'll
on
find
in a
out.
while. Do you want to use it?
Are we gonna wait? Are we gonna take a long
No,
rest?
it's short rest. I don't want to stay here.
Oh, but you just want to be
Any
somewhere
longer than that.
protected.
Yeah.
I mean, as you look around, you can see that there are, though they probably don't present any sort of threat to you, there are undead wandering about the fields.
Yeah,
There,
I mean,
zombies and
I
skeletons.
need to rest, not like fight popcorn enemies.
And your fight definitely drew the attention of some of them.
So if we put the tower here, we're just gonna close the doors and have them like amass outside while we rest.
They'll lose interest, I'm sure. And if they don't, it's not a big deal to get rid of them. That's great.
I could take pot shots at them
Rest
from
them.
the window upstairs.
Yeah, if you don't need to
I
rest.
don't need rest. I can earn a lot of trophies while you guys are sleeping. I could probably build a moat. All right. I will set the tower down and back up and say, "Okay, everybody, back up," and then I'll say the command word.
Okay. As you speak the command word, the tower you've seen before erupts out from its space, forming into that full, I think it's like 20-foot tall tower that just now dominates the field and towers over the withering and dying trees in this blackened
Well, that's
landscape.
not conspicuous, is it?
I mean, it's still dwarfed by the ominous castle, which you can see off in the distance, framed by occasional flashes of lightning. But compared to the trees, yes, very conspicuous.
Yes, that was my point.
It doesn't need to be inconspicuous, it just needs to be secure.
All right.
Can I check Ixlati's body?
Yeah, sure. She doesn't really have anywhere to hide things. So what you find are, she's wearing like sort of a gold thread shirt of some kind that covers her front but leaves her back mostly bare. And then she also has these gold bracers with carvings of serpents on them. You find sort of tucked into the belt of her loose flowing pants that she's wearing, a empty potion bottle of some kind.
Okay.
And let me see what else she might have. I think that's it, but let me double check. I actually worked out her inventory in advance.
It's okay, hang on to it.
But if you want to take a short rest, you do get maximum hit points from any hit dice you see.
Oh yeah, you make
Yeah,
that
it's on your
That's
person.
good.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so there's those things, and then also her spear is lying a few feet from her outstretched hand.
So
Where she
spear, razors.
While he does that, can I try to harvest some scales from Kydus's body?
Yeah. As the shadows have receded, you can see that what once were probably radiant bronze scales have faded and dulled, but they are still dragon scales, so you can pull some of those off. Let's see how many you get. Wow, 20.
Woo! What should I call them?
Just
Shadow
say-
bronze dragon scales?
Yeah,
Kydus,
something like that.
Kydus
Kind of
scales.
scales.
20.
Tarnished bronze scales.
Oops. I still have 2 green dragon scales from the first dragon we took down.
I rolled a d20 to see how many you got, and rolled the 20, so that's good luck.
Also, it's 120. He's not going to get trolled tonight.
I was just thinking the same thing. Nice.
Cool. I'm gonna make some more earrings out of these.
Do we get the benefits of the short rest?
Yeah, so you kind of usher everyone in. Sisava is dead, so that's another person down on your party.
What does he have on his body?
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Do you want to loot his body?
Yeah.
He has the weapon that he was given, I think, by Hunter.
The scimitar or whatever it was.
No, you guys took his scimitar and didn't give it
I
back.
thought that's what we gave back to him.
Oh, you're right.
We
You
did.
did.
We
You
did.
did.
Yeah,
Right.
we
I'm
did.
misremembering. Yeah, so he has that
Right before I
scimitar.
went in.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And a couple not. He has a flask full of a strong-smelling alcohol.
You taking it? Yeah, you take it.
And the flask is all, of course, decorated with serpents. So.
So, when we take a short rest, do we learn the properties of these items that we have, like the ring that Kay has and stuff?
Yeah, if you want to spend your short rest focusing on them.
Does that mean
Good. And we also
spend
use it
a
on any
tuning
other
or just?
benefits, or does it take the whole thing to do that?
You can spend a short rest without a tuning to figure out any benefits. The only
Well,
thing you
I
get
don't
from a
need
tuning
those.
that you wouldn't get regularly is you find out if something's cursed.
Oh, I see.
I see.
Well, I'm kind of guessing. Just gonna throw it out there. This thing is probably cursed.
When you pull it out and say that, Eli says, well, I'd be happy to take a look at it if you want.
Okay, just be careful.
I mean, of course.
I'm not gonna take a rest.
I saw what it did to your hand. I'm not just gonna go touching it willy-nilly.
Curse breaker.
Yeah, you think I would have learned my lesson in the first dungeon when I touched something and it didn't go well.
Was something like this has happened before?
No. 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 Yeah, I'm
You
gonna
like
keep
kinda
watch
shakes his head.
while you guys take a rest, alright? Because I'm fine.
So you're just gonna go up to the top and like shoot firebolts down and stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's basically how I'm gonna spend this hour.
You kill like 40 zombies.
Whoa.
I think
I'm
that
like really making up for the lack of usefulness that I displayed in the battle against the dragon.
They basically begin to like cluster around the edge of the tower.
I made a
and
boat of dead bodies, you guys!
You guys from the arrow slits can just see like bolts of fire raining down from above constantly.
You're not immune to fire. You're not immune to fire.
Yeah, take that! Yeah, no evasion on you!
In your face.
Eat that!
For you.
I'm going to spend an hour reading that book.
Oh, okay, sure.
So I think I'm up to 7 hours now.
Yes, I think so. So Hunter, you wanted to look at the things you pulled from Ixlati?
Yes, I would.
So the spear is a +2 spear. So that gives +2 to attack and damage rolls.
Okay.
The bracers are bracers of defense. So if you are unarmored and attuned to them, you get +2 to your AC. And that's all she had. Was there something else?
You said like the gold shirt or whatever, but I don't know if that's.
Oh, did you want to like take her shirt off of her?
I don't want to take it
He
off.
has a habit of stripping women naked in the street after he murders them.
No.
Be some kind of
It just looks. It looks like a fancy craft shirt. It doesn't look like it's
Keep that.
special in particular.
Oh, then she had that potion bottle. That was empty though, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's
So
important.
Hunter, do you want to make a trade for those bracelets?
A trade. Do we need to do that for party members?
Yeah, because you can have your Sword of Winnings back.
Oh, I see. You're giving me back something. Okay. You can just have them. It's fine. Maybe the spear is something I can use instead.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
What are the
But you already
bracers?
have armor, so I mean that wouldn't help you.
But it would make my leather armor more gorgeous.
You
Well, as
can
a
wear them
fashion
just for
statement, I'm
the.
not gonna-
Yeah.
I don't
that's
know.
true.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Wait,
I
so
mean,
what did they do?
have serpents on them.
You already have that bracelet I gave you that has a serpent.
I'm collecting them.
The bracers go higher up the arm though, so she could totally have both.
Yeah. What did they do? I missed it.
They're bracers of
Plus
defense. So
defense.
+2 to
Plus
AC
2
if
to
you're
AC.
unarmored.
Hey, guess who's unarmored in this party?
You have to attune to them though.
Just saying.
Do you have
Guess
any
who's
units
the-
left open?
Only one. No, but I can trade you the
Yeah, I
crystal
know.
ball for it.
No, you can have them. Because you
Does
gave me the earring.
Yako can't wear items like that, right? Could he wear the bracers?
Guess who could really use more AC in this party,
Do you
y'all?
Do you have to wear them both? Could each have one?
You do have to wear them both. Yeah.
It would be like
What
this.
item did you get?
The crystal ball of seeing.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have like an attunement slot open right now?
No.
Or are we all full?
We're all full. I am.
Go ahead. You take them.
I would say they could probably they could function on Byakko, but I don't know that he can attune to them. I'd have to think about that. I'll get back to you.
What's Byakko's AC?
17.
Do you want to know what my AC is?
Is it like 12 or 13?
It's 12. Do you know what my AC would be with the bracers?
+2.
Do you know what it would be with the bracers and shield?
19.
Shield.
Guess how often he rolls above a 19 to hit me?
Yes. Do you know how much it would help you then?
No, I mean as opposed to above a 17.
Sure.
Here, give them to me, so I'm giving them to you. So there.
Alright.
I think it's fine as long as we can use all the items and stuff.
Yeah, I mean I would have to unattune to the crystal ball of scrying.
Well,
So we
I'll
wouldn't
take
be
it
able to scry anymore. But then you'd have to attune to it if you want to use it, which means
Which
you'd have to.
Well,
Do you have
so-
any attunement slots open?
back.
Yeah.
You can only be
I'm
attuned to
only
3 things
attuned to the gloves of snaring. Oh yeah, and each of the. So
each of the daggers.
Maybe. Can you use
The
something like
daggers,
that?
the
Daggers
2
count as
daggers
one.
count as 1.
Oh.
Okay. But
When you
So-
have the pair, it's 1 attune.
So you've
got
got
a cloak.
the Cloak of the Manta Ray is attunement.
I'll check.
It doesn't say on here.
Is there a way that I can fashion the spear into my arm thingy?
Yeah, you could do that. I'd say with a long rest, you can switch out
Sure.
the item.
Okay. I'll plan on doing that then.
Cloak of the Manta Ray is not attunement.
Oh. So
Okay.
you have daggers.
And the
What
dragon.
else do you have then?
I have the dragon bone knuckles.
Which are attunement, but
You like never use those.
You
I
never
never
use them.
use them because
You got the
I
daggers
never
now.
do.
So you have the daggers and you have
Iron strikes.
the gloves of missile snaring. So unattuned to the knuckles, and then you
What
can
about
attune
the
to
armor?
crystal
Your
ball.
armor that you got, the studded armor.
That's not attunement. It's just studded leather armor.
it is magic.
And it's
Oh,
Vanessa's
Oh,
special
oh,
armor.
oh, right.
So
Recycle.
can't Thaddeus use it?
Well, we're all full in attunement.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd have
I
to give
can
it my
always-
boots, and I would not give up my boots.
We can always like reattune to the crystal ball when we need to scry on someone again. And now that I
Take
can,
like 10 minutes. That's
Takes an
not
hour.
it takes an hour. It takes a short rest, but like, I can always, we have the Ruby of Sending too, so we can talk to people instead of just spying on them.
Did we learn what the ring did too?
No, we don't know what the ring did.
Eli's looking at the ring.
I'll get to that in a second.
Alright, do you want to hang on to the ball then? Or do you want me to hang on to it? Okay, here. Put it back in your inventory. And what are these bracers called?
Bracers of defense.
Cool.
I'm gonna knock them off
In
my
Harmony,
inventory then.
they are beautiful. Like each of the serpent's eyes have gems and things like that, and they are carved ornately. They seem to be solid gold, and you can just see the shimmer of magic off of them.
But I didn't take a short rest, so I'm not attuned to them yet.
Right.
Because I said I wasn't taking a short rest. Which
Take
I
that
probably
off your
should
fingers
take a
off.
short rest now that I have these because
Yeah.
We'll
I
say
figured out what they were, and then we talked about it.
for the
Crystal
crystal
ball.
ball. Yes.
Did we make one?
Yeah.
Oh, I also would give you the potion bottle. I know you like
We
brewed potions.
used it today. So it recharges at dawn. You give me the potion bottle? Sorry, you give me the potion bottle?
Yes, I did.
Yes? Okay. 3.
All this housekeeping.
I
Like your
know.
sort of thing.
I know. Yeah, so can I retcon my no short rest and take a short rest so I can attune to these
Sure.
before the next fight?
40 zombies come back.
I'll retcon my mode of undead.
I mean, you can still create the mode of undead when the rest is over. So
Yeah.
it's just a delayed mode of undead.
Yay, 14 armor class, y'all!
Thaddeus,
I feel so strong now.
of course the dogs are wrestling. During the short rest, you feel a familiar ping in your brain of someone trying to contact you with the sending spell.
Okay.
And you recognize it to be from Dawn.
Oh, okay.
Because that's something you learn when you receive this spell.
Yeah.
And she says, Thaddeus, it's Dawn. Stole a loose copper wire from a warforged to cast this spell. I'm okay. I'm going to contact my friends. They'll bust me out. You do what you need to do.
Alright.
And then I think you can reply if you want to.
You can respond to this message?
You can reply to this message.
This message.
Onto this message, press 1. To save it in the archives, press 4.
En español.
Yeah.
Primero 11.
I like that you gave my laptop the card for Zach. She like put the card down next to the laptop like she's handing it to you.
Oh. Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thaddeus' response is, understood. We're heading soon to the Elder Haven reaches. Stay safe, avoid Gavin if possible, and I'll see you again.
And you feel the message depart and head off into the ether.
You told her what my Elder Haven reaches and not that we're in this Shadowfell taking care of the vampire.
Yeah, that's what I told her.
And then up near the top of the tower where Harmony and Eli are resting, you're sort of, playing around with the bracers, getting them attuned. And Eli is sort of twirling the metal part of the ring in his hands, being careful not to touch the stone. And he looks like he's concentrating intensely. And eventually he sort of just extends it out to you and says, don't touch the stone, but I think it's for you.
Why?
Just take it. You'll understand.
I take it with mage hands.
You bring it closer to you with Mage Hand. It floats there.
I take it very gently, being careful to avoid the stone.
And as soon as you touch the band, you feel that mental connection again. And the voice that you hear says, yes, you. If I remember correctly, I remember you. Your name. It's Devotion, right?
No.
You came to the vampire's castle all those years ago to rescue my friend Morn and me. I remember. That much I remember.
Yeah.
Afterwards it's foggy.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't recognize your voice. It's been so long.
Well, I must confess I'm a bit confused. I myself don't know what's going on. It's Kydus.
Okay. Okay. How are you?
Well, the person I was just speaking to, he said his name was Eli. He explained that I'm speaking from inside of a ring or something.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Do you know how I came to be this way? My memory, it's dark. I can't explain it. It's foggy after a certain point.
Well, you've
You're like talking into the ring.
I mean, you saw Eli speaking, or doing this, he was communicating apparently entirely mentally. So
Yeah.
you know you can do this too.
I know, but I'm not.
it's like, well, I mean, you've been in the Shadowfell for a long time.
Yes, I remember. I came with my friend Morn, a silver dragon.
Yeah, we're kind of looking for him right now too.
I thought he escaped. I remember he escaped with you.
That was a long time ago, Kydus.
Why can't I remember? Everything's so black.
Do you remember the vampire Elkeen?
Yes, of course.
He took control of you somehow. You've been under his control for many, many years.
I'll tell you what I remember, and then perhaps that will jog some memory of how this happened. But Mandus and I, we went to the castle. He had promised a woman, a friend of his, that he would go into the Shadowfell and retrieve, I think it was her son. I don't remember his name. It's been so long. But he asked me if I would come with. We were friends back then. And I never shied away from a challenge of might. So I said yes, without any hesitation. But we didn't know about the Medusa, the vampire's queen. We were unprepared, and they defeated us. There's a gap in my memory after that, a long gap. But I remember something, standing before a mirror atop a tower, and feeling dark power radiating from it, and then it's as if I were in a different place. It was painful, excruciating. I don't remember much from that. I just remember the pain. I remember coming in and out of this mirror a few times. The vampire put me in there for some reason. I'm sorry, this is so garbled. I don't remember anything.
That's very helpful.
I think it was something to do with how he was gaining more undead followers. I don't know. And then I remember one of the times when I came out of the mirror. That's when you came with some other tieflings,
Yes.
and you rescued Morn. I remember I saw from atop the tower briefly, but that's all. I remember watching you leave with Morn.
I'm sorry that I couldn't save you too.
I remember feeling happy that my friend got out.
Well, you're out now too, kind of.
In a sense, I
In a
suppose.
sense.
I suppose I don't really know how my consciousness came to reside in this form.
Do you think it had something to do with the mirror?
I cannot say. All I remember of this mirror is that it felt very evil every time I recall standing before it.
And it was in a tower here in the Shadowfell?
I
In
think
the
so.
castle?
I think so. It's hard to be sure. Everything's so foggy.
Well, when we find Morn, I'll let you talk to him too. And maybe he can help fill you in on what happened.
I hope he's still alive.
Me too.
That he's not. I guess I hope more than anything he's not going through the pain that they put me through. Like I said, that much I remember. Excruciating pain.
Yeah. That sounds rough. I'm so sorry.
There's not much you can do. But if you could reunite me with Morn, that would be the best thing that I could wish for.
That's the plan. Hey, so I'm just gonna put this ring on so that we can talk whenever you want to talk. I don't know if you are aware of the surroundings out here, but maybe something will trigger your memory as we go.
As you slide, do you slide the ring on?
I'm sorry.
As you're saying that? Yeah,
Okay.
as you slide it on, you feel almost like it's not the voice in the ring doesn't speak, but you feel like a rush of sensation from it, and it says, I can see. Yes, I remember this place.
I thought this would be a good idea.
I spent many years here.
Cool. Yeah, that sucks. Though, this is not a fun place to be.
No. If ever there was a place that could be defined as the opposite of a fun place to be, this would be it.
There's one other thing I should probably tell you.
Hmm?
Devotion was my grandmother. Is my grandmother.
I see. Yes. Sometimes we dragons struggle to tell you mortal creatures apart, but you felt familiar. It all makes sense now. I understand.
Yeah.
And what is your name?
I'm Harmony.
It's nice to meet you, Harmony.
It's nice to meet the real you too.
You sense like confusion from that, but he doesn't press it.
I mean, you can probably see the giant body of.
I mean, if you like look down to the body.
I mean, I won't now, but like I have a feeling like he will eventually see it because it's a giant dragon body and it's impossible not to. Yeah. Anyway.
He'll be like, how did you get those scales?
Well, they're tarnished. They're not the same color they were when he was. Anyway.
Yeah, she's fine. At least the last I heard. She's still fine. Devotion.
Well, that's excellent to hear. I only interacted with her in brief moments when she was attempting to free me and my friend Morn from the castle. But she seemed kind.
She is.
She didn't have to come to rescue us at all. I gathered as much from the brief interaction that there was a city that was in danger on the other side of some portal.
Yeah.
And
That's happening again now. That's
see.
why we're here.
And so history repeats itself as it always does.
Yeah, but hopefully we can get rid of the vampire for good this time.
Yes.
Anything you know or anything you remember will help.
Well, I have a feeling as we get closer to that goal, perhaps I will see something that will trigger my memory. Right now, everything is, like I've said, just dark. But you never know.
I look at Eli and I'm like, this is weird.
You listen, you're like, right?
This is weird. But at least it's not evil-ish.
He kept calling you Devotion, and you said out loud? Sorry, you said out loud that part?
Yeah.
And you said she's your grandmother?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll tell him the whole story that Mandus told us about how he knew her. Told me. I don't know if I told you guys about it or not.
I think that everyone heard about it when you
that
had
was a
the
private
dream
conversation
council
with
with
them,
Mandus,
yeah.
when he told you guys everything.
Yeah.
So I'll tell Eli the story.
Well, that's incredible that your history with, I don't know, it's just, fate's weird sometimes, you know?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I never knew about it. And she never talked about it.
I mean, that's the interesting thing about family and I don't know. There's a lot that goes unsaid, but
I mean, we all just thought she was just the crazy ex-chief, you know, who was like, she was done with her big job, so she just drank a lot and like teased the young kids and like.
with a
made
name like
jokes.
Devotion, I wasn't picturing an alcoholic. You know?
Well, I mean, that was the name that she chose when she became chief, and then yeah, she was devoted to her fun and alcohol, at least.
Well, I guess
Lots
that
of
explains
fun.
where you get some of your traits. He says and kind of like gives a teasing smile.
I did spend a lot of time with her when I was avoiding my mom.
That's okay. I like those traits.
Thanks. Are you feeling better?
No. Eli doesn't have any hit dice to roll.
Oh no!
So yeah, Eli is still like looking injured. I guess he can roll some spells for himself.
Let's see if I have anything I can help him with.
Any good berry?
They're like 1 HP.
He's at about half his hit points. He will spend his last 3rd level Cure Wounds on himself, I
Oh
think.
my gosh.
3 baskets of good
He can save that because I've still got 20 left that I can
Okay.
spend on him.
Just never alone.
How much do you want to give him?
I know.
I'll, might as well give him all 20.
Getting a little
Okay.
crowded in
I
there.
know.
While
Alright, he's looking a lot better now.
It's fine here right now.
now what happens when you
It's gonna
have
be
your
real,
head?
real busy. Well, hopefully Kydus is only here until we find more.
Yes.
You always yell at me not to get it myself. So. Yeah, is there anything else that anyone wants to do with the short rest?
No, I'm ready to go. I've still got most of my spell slots and now all my HP, and I got my Channel Divinity back.
Okay. I have water. We'll keep going. So I guess Harmony and Eli climb from the top of the tower, just obliterate all the zombies that have gathered around.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everyone evacuates the tower. You speak the command word. It shrinks back down.
Stick it in my bag.
And you find yourselves in the midst of a pile of zombie bodies. Looking out on the castle, which you can still see in the distance, up on a bit of a raised hill. The occasional flashes of lightning, devoid of any color in this current landscape. Behind the castle itself, crackling in the distance. You guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you trying to
Did
hide?
you hit dice yourself? Did you heal yourself at all?
Oh, I thought I recovered all of it.
No, you don't
Look at
recover
this
all
spell.
of your hit points. You recover the maximum amount from each hit die that you
Oh.
spend.
Okay.
So
No, you
you-
don't
but
have to roll, but you have to spend them. So you
Oh,
have,
I see.
how many did you use before?
Okay, and I had 16.
That's your
That's
armor
my.
class.
Do I have 14 to spend?
You have
Yeah, you have
as
14.
many, yeah, you have 14, but I can't remember, like, because I had used one before.
Okay, then that's.
I don't know how many you used before. If you had used any. Because we short rested,
So then I'm at.
did we? I mean, I have one marked here.
I'm not sure why. I don't
Because
feel
we
like we
had
have
a long
short rest.
rest.
We have a long
Yeah,
rest.
you had a long rest.
Then we fought the skulls, but I don't think we short rest between them.
I don't think you did.
Then this must have been left over.
Then, yeah, I think so. You should have all 14.
Alright,
So
you have
how
all
did Eli
14.
not have any hit die then?
I guess, yeah, Eli would have 4.
Then he would have all of his hit dice.
So, Thaddeus, why don't you take your
Alright.
20 back and I
Okay.
will spend those.
That works.
Okay, you get eight points from each die you spend. So you can choose how many dice to use, and then you would normally roll them, but now you get max because of the potion. You had 24?
Points, so we'll do.
So, hold on. So you need 50 divided by 8 is
Seven.
6 and a quarter.
So I'll just use 6.
So if you do 6, then you're gonna have not 8 left. 6 points left.
No,
Eight
I mean.
dice.
Oh, 8 dice left. No, I'm saying 6. You're 6 hits points shy of being max, right?
Yeah.
6 times 8 is, you're 2 hit points shy of being max because you just recovered 48 points out of 50.
Yep.
Okay. I can do math.
The one other thing, just since you spent the short rest with it, that you can know is that the ring itself functions as a ring of mind shielding, but the stone has some other properties that are a bit mysterious at this point.
Okay. But I'm not attuned to it.
Shady.
No, but you would learn that much about it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm just wearing it to talk to Kydus.
Yeah, and as you shrink the tower and he sees his body amidst the
See, he's gonna see it regardless.
The,
He just can't hide.
the zombie
A
corpses, you feel
giant
like a wave of horror and then disgust and then a little bit of sorrow. And then you hear, after a moment, the voice says, "It looks like I grew quite big while my memories were wherever they were."
I'm sorry.
No, a dragon's size is its pride. It's incredible that I made it as large as I did.
You're really powerful.
I apologize for any damages I did to you and your friends.
Not powerful enough.
We can't hear him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sorry that there wasn't another way to save you.
That's okay. Anything is better than being a slave to that monster.
I would have to agree. Not that I'm speaking from experience. Let's go!
Yes.
Okay. You make your way the rest of the distance across the fields, dealing with occasional zombie undead in a epic montage as Thaddeus slashes them with his lightsaber. Harmony firebolts them from a distance. Eli contributes bolts of cold every now and again. Mara gets up behind the zombies as they come around the trees and like decapitates them from behind. And Hunter, I know you have so many ways to kill people. I don't even know.
Bottom.
Bono? Your new spear? Say that again, Zach. Your microphone cut out.
Oh, sorry. I said I was just stepping on him.
Oh, just stepping on. Yeah, sure.
This tyrant warlord would just fly up and just stomp on him.
And you find yourselves standing at the edge of what is essentially, at most parts of it, a 35-foot across chasm like the ones you've seen before that just seems to descend down into darkness, with a narrow 10-foot causeway going across to a moat of land that seems to be surrounded by this chasm. And on that moat of land, you can see that there are patrols of skeletons armed with bows walking around. And you can see that there's a pathway going from the causeway directly up to the front doors of the castle, at either side of which you can see 2 armored figures just standing stalwart in their vigilant guard. And a flash of lightning crackles from behind the castle. The other thing you notice is that a thin layer of fog is rolling out from, basically it seems to be covering this entire moat of land that supports the castle. And it's just rolling slowly off the edge down into the chasm eternally.
Oh, so it's not fog so thick that we could use it as cover.
No, it seems to, like, it goes maybe 3 feet up or something like that. Like, you can see the skeletons moving around in it. And part of the reason it's not building up is because it's constantly billowing down into.
Do we want to try crawling through the fog?
That doesn't sound like the most pleasant way to get through this, but we'd be hidden, but we wouldn't be able to see where we were going.
Well, we're only going one direction. For the gates. Give us cover from the skeletons.
Are the skeletons patrolling such that there's a gap that we can slip in?
You could roll a perception check and try and find one.
Oh, first roll of the night. Sure. Sure.
Hey, not bad. 17.
Yeah, there are gaps. They look really well organized, but they're skeletons, and so they don't have the intelligence to, like, if something gets off in the patrol, and so naturally gaps begin to form. You think that you probably could spot a gap that you could crawl through if you wanted to.
Alright, let's go.
So we go for a gap and then crawl through the.
Well, I don't know.
Although technically the fog comes up to here on me.
I don't know if we need to crawl for going through the gap to pick up the skeleton control. So I was just trying to
Run through. And find something to hide on the other side.
Okay, so you're just going to try and run through when there's a gap. You're not going to crawl through.
Yes.
Alrighty. Then everyone go ahead and make a stealth check.
My favorite check.
Yeah.
Let me know what you get.
Do you have advantage? Because your boots?
She does.
Yes, I do.
Because I rolled real bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I'm,
You're not proficient in stealth.
no, but if I had a bonus, then I'd be fine.
You have a
I don't need
dexterity
to roll stealth checks.
bonus. Be plus 5 dexterity bonus.
Yeah, dex.
Like,
Well,
if
you
I'm
have
bad.
stealth, but you roll at advantage because of your boots. So roll again. Better.
Yay.
Way better.
Way better.
It's 22.
Okay. What did Thaddeus get?
And 8.
Harmony?
5.
Okay. Hunter?
Got a 6.
Don't
And
think
Byakuo?
Mara's going to be carrying us on this.
No.
What's Byakuo's?
Yako got a nat 20, and that's a 32.
Dang, okay.
Is someone going to be carrying us? It'll be Bianca.
I rolled a 4, and you got a 20.
You
Let's
sure that's not a 38?
It's plus 12.
Yeah. I was kidding. Okay.
well,
Just on the saving throw. No, just on stealth, right? With your boots. Not all of them. Oh. That's acrobatics or athletics, right? Alright, keep going.
Eli rolled a natural 1. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Skeletons have a passive perception of 9. And with your looking for a gap in advance, I lowered that a bit, setting the DC at 7.
So I
And
passed.
enough of you passed.
I like that I still failed that. Roll a fucking 3.
So yeah, you just barely managed to dash through the fog and get up onto the narrow pathway winding up to the front doors as another patrol of skeletons walks by. And as they walk by, they seem to be having like this rattling conversation that is just basically their bones clacking. And they do not seem to notice you.
Nice. Finally, things are going our way,
We'll
guys.
fail that.
So now we're up to the front door and these armored guys.
Who can clearly see you from where you're at, but they don't seem to be taking any action. They're standing just next to these large double doors with iron handles and things like that that you can see.
This might be dumb, but we were just talking before the session about our background features. And Thaddeus can request an audience with any noble. I don't know if that'll work here.
You can certainly try.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You can certainly try.
So you want to walk up to the door?
Yeah.
Okay, as you approach the front door, Thaddeus a bit ahead of everyone else, you get closer to these armored figures, and you can see that they actually don't have there's no one in the armor, like it's an open helm. And as you get closer, there's a light that begins to flare up in the armor, and it turns slowly towards you, creaking. It doesn't take any action, except for it just like puts a hand on the hilt of its sword, and then just watches you walk up to the door.
I'll speak to it and say, Sir Thaddeus, Hammerlock and Entourage, here to request an audience with the Vampire King Elkeen.
And it slowly raises that hand that was on the hilt and
Boom, boom, boom.
wraps it against the door. And then a few seconds later, the other one raises the hand and
Boom, boom, boom.
does it again. And slowly, after what feels like several moments of waiting, the doors creep open, and you can see, I don't want to say warm light because it's the Shadowfell, but you can see light spilling out from behind a figure who stands in the doorway. You see, dressed in elegant, noble clothes, a pale figure with long hair tied back. A figure you've never seen before, so not the vampire Alkene, but he, as he opens the door, sees you standing there and says, "Ah, yes, the master did tell me to expect you. Come in. I believe that dinner is ready."
He's not talking about us, right? We're not dinner.
Well, we're not ready.
I think that he says, I trust that your master has made accommodations for our diet.
Of course, of course. He has entertained many mortals before. Of course, not many of them lived much longer after that. Please, this way. I am Dmitri. I will be your host in this matter. And as he says his name, Kydus says, "Dmitri, that was the child's name."
Oh no.
Is Dimitri the same kind of person that we saw in the, what was it, the Sepulchre of Memory?
You mean the Burblings?
No, like the ones we fought.
They were elven of some kind, like they had
Okay.
pointed ears.
So, but
Dimitri
they did
seems to have rounded human ears,
Okay.
but he's very pale and very white.
Okay.
His hair is very white, that's what I meant to say. Like pale and white are the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So similar in that regard, but when you like glance over the ears, his are rounded. Come in. And he sort of bows to let you in.
I'll follow, or at least I'll enter.
You find yourself standing in a grand entryway, a long main hall, as it were. As you step in, the sound of organ music begins to reach your ears as you look down this hall, and you can see that it is supported by 4 pillars. The high, 15-foot roof is supported by 4 main pillars. A long dining table takes up the majority of the room, and then at the very far end, there's an organ that seems to be playing itself. There's no one seated there, but you can see the keys moving, and you can hear the sound of ominous organ music playing throughout the room. And Dmitri says, "The master, he's a fan of the organ music. We have an invisible servant who plays it almost constantly. Please, have a seat at
Ghost,
anywhere
spectre,
you like."
the spell?
I wouldn't claim to know. We call him Kyle.
As we travel through, can I make a perception check to look for hidden creatures?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Alright, well I didn't do very well, I rolled a 1. Can Biako help me? Or can he do his own or whatever with spelling?
Yeah, he can. So he could either help or he could roll his own.
We got a 28.
28. Biako, as you step into the main hall, to the left there's actually a stairway that seems to go up to a second floor. Biako sort of curiously sniffs in that direction, but doesn't seem to be raising any alarms as to things that are unseen at the moment. And as you look into the room, you can see that there are just gorgeous chandeliers hanging down, or they probably would have been gorgeous. They're covered in cobwebs at this point in time, hanging down from the ceilings over the dining room table, which is set with what looks to be a steaming hot meal of fine-looking steaks and things like that.
I'm watching Dimitri very closely.
Not undead steaks.
He catches your eye on him and says,
They were required.
"I assure you, there is no need for such caution at this point in time. Please, have a seat."
Is there like a seat that's clearly the master's?
There is a seat at both the head and the foot of the table, but they look about the same. Like there's no one that's clearly the head and one that's clearly the foot. But
Then I'll go up to the one that's furthest into the room and sit at the left hand of that.
Okay. Gotcha. Do the rest of you want to take seats at one of the plates? Or do you want to look around? What do you want to do? Dimitri sort of seems to just be like standing by one of the pillars and like waiting for you guys to step in.
I use my carpenter's tools and check for like trapdoors and stuff before we settle.
Yeah, the majority of this room is stone, but I'll say you can still make it for the parts that are wooden. So go ahead and roll a... Are you proficient in perception?
No.
Okay, so then this would just be a d20 plus your proficiency for carpenter's tools.
So just plus this. Oh,
So
so it's the same. So
A 10 plus.
no, 'cause
That's for
because you're proficient with your carpenter's tools, so expertise makes it
a 10. So 15.
15?
Still not right.
You look around this room, and you can see that there is clearly a... well, what you notice is there are tapestries covering a lot of the wall. There's a large curtain tapestry, which you can tell by the wood framing structure around it seems to actually be covering a passageway through to a different room. It's not necessarily hidden, but that like curtain is drawn at the moment.
Okay.
And that's something that you can notice because of the woodwork around it.
I'm gonna sit down next to Thaddeus at the table, and I'm gonna lean over and I'm gonna tell him. Apparently, this guy is the kid that Ixlati and Kydus came to save all those years ago.
I think once that is at his seat, he's gonna do something potentially really dumb and use divine sense.
Okay. You feel a strong undead presence from Dimitri. Duh. How far does it go? 60 feet?
60 feet.
You can feel some smaller, minor undead presences behind the curtain that Mara pointed out.
Mhm.
And I think that's about it at the moment.
Let's see what that.
Sorry, one other thing I meant to describe in the actual image of the castle while you were on the outside is that it seemed to have a branch of it that jutted out over the ravine onto an island that is in the middle of the ravine a little ways off, where there's another tower coming up from there. And Harmony, as you were approaching the tower, you felt your shadow tugging you in that direction just a little bit, just slightly.
Yeah, I'll say to Harmony. I don't think there's any saving. No.
you should probably say it a little bit louder so that.
Oh, I don't think there's any saving now.
I don't think so either, but I just thought you should know.
I'll keep it under consideration.
Well, what do you say? Would you care for drinks? I can call out the kitchen staff to bring some. What do you say we just do it? And he like claps his hands, and as soon as he claps his hands, you can hear a clattering from behind that curtain, which then he pulls aside, and a parade of skeletons carrying, sort of in their rib cages, wine bottles begins to come out, and then they pour wine into each of your goblets. Even you, Hunter.
Yes, thank you.
Notably, they do not pour anything into the goblet of the one at the head of the table.
I'm not touching any of this.
I figured as much.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm kind of with Harmony.
Like, thanks.
Alright, well, you have your drinks, and these servants will see that you are taken care of. Enjoy Kyle's organ music, and I will go inform the master that you have arrived, though I am sure he saw you from his windows.
The last time Thaddeus had somebody else's wine, it got real
I don't know what you're talking about.
He kind of liked it though.
Yeah, I would say that was a good weird. This is definitely a bad weird.
And you watch as Dimitri ascends the staircase out of sight and leaves you alone with these skeletons and the organ music being played by Kyle.
I didn't get any sense of the vampire. Normally, when the vampire is anywhere near me, it's hard not to get a sense of that.
But I mean, this is a big capsule.
When I felt him in Sepulchre of Memory, he was everywhere. It was
Right.
like a wave crashing down on all of us.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that now.
Well, he's not invading another realm with his person right now. This is where he lives. I don't know.
Me neither.
But I mean, this is his castle. If he's not here, where is he?
So are we just gonna wait for him here? Or
I don't
we
know.
go-
What's the plan? Should we set up an ambush?
I want to know where Manus is.
So do I.
Yeah, maybe we should
Tell
do
us.
some exploring.
From inside here, Kydus, sort of as you look around, says, I don't recognize much of this area. But like I said, the mirror or whatever it was, that evil object, it was at the top of a tower.
Let's take a tour.
Did Dimitri say we were expected though? So you think he's gonna go send harm?
That's what he just said. He's gonna go
Yeah.
get the master, or tell the master that we're here.
I mean, like, would be instantaneous.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
Titus.
Let's go take a tour of the castle.
We might have time to sneak, but we might get in trouble for it. But usually we might. I mean, we're kind of in trouble as it is.
You know, he's
I'd
trying
rather-
to kill us, right?
Not be in the place where
You can teleport us out.
A
No,
loud
I can't.
crack of thunder sort of punctuates the end to the organ music. And as you turn towards the head of the table,
Use
having
it to
this
get
discussion,
to-
you see seated in the chair, sort of arms crossed or folded like this, the unmistakable visage of the vampire Alpine, just fangs bared and smiling at you.
Said, our host.
But of course, I've been expecting you for some time. Naturally, I don't usually play with my food for this long, but I must confess, I underestimated the group of you.
Well,
that
sorry
doesn't
for
happen often.
keeping you waiting. We would have been here sooner if your little minions hadn't given us so much trouble on the way in.
Yes, I witnessed that from my tower, and I must confess, I'm impressed. Not many people could fell the greatest of my lieutenants. And he claps his hands, and you watch as Dimitri rushes towards him and says, "Yes, what is it, master?" And he just sort of flicks his hands at the curtain, and Dimitri disappears behind the curtain, followed seconds later by a skeleton that rushes out, holding a different bottle, and pours it into Alkine's goblet, and you can see that it is very clearly the crimson color of blood. And he just sort of swirls that around and puts it to his lip. Sets it down.
Is there not another guest that could fill the foot of the table?
If you're speaking of the guest that I believe you're speaking of, he is otherwise predisposed at the moment.
Hmm.
You see, I, a long time ago, stumbled upon an artifact which, when used in combination with beings willing to, or not, well, I shouldn't say willing, capable of withstanding the pain it inflicts, can draw great masses of undead to my castle. And I'm currently employing your friend for such a purpose.
I think Thaddeus is good. Have you told us about what you've learned?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, well Thaddeus does nothing with this information then.
There hasn't been time. You guys were all sleeping.
Well,
Would you
this
say
is
nothing
this is
now,
awkward.
or-
Why don't you dig in? Your meals are getting cold.
You know, I think we'd like to see this artifact. I hear it's a quite lovely piece.
Yes, well it is, but unfortunately, you will not be living long enough to see those. Perhaps in your undeath, I could
You
allow you
would
to
like
see such
my
things.
blood and say negative. It's toxic to you.
It's cute that you think that, but no. In fact, I'm quite a fan of the A-negative blood type. It pairs well with many good meats. And he sort of gestures to the glass he has, and he says, this, on the other hand, is the incorrect choice. And he looks over to the kitchen and sort of shakes his head. My servants are incompetent.
Not everybody has a taste for blood like you do.
No, that's true.
How much longer do you intend to play with your food before you eat it?
Well, I'm just waiting for the after party. Of course, that needs to happen in a suitably appropriate location.
An after party?
Yes. If you would prefer to skip the dinner, we could, of course, ascend to the Gallery of Shadows, and then I would be most delighted to satiate your final desires.
Why don't we just get the party started right here?
How do you think this is going to end for you, Alvin?
The way it always does. And he flashes the toothy smile again. But please, if you wish to rush things along and we can't simply have a pleasant dinner before you join me for eternity, then I suppose I'll be going. And his body seems to descend through the chair and disappear. And Dimitri says, well, you heard him. You've been summoned to the Gallery of Shadows. And he points to the stairs.
Might we see the tower first?
Well, if you wish, we could perhaps take a perimeter walk and take one final look. I have been instructed...
Oh, no, he doesn't say that. I don't know.
That's what I was going to
Yeah.
say, but you
no.
spoke up before I had a chance to. So.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't say that.
We could perhaps take a perimeter walk. I have been instructed to be accommodating in any way that I can. My accent is slipping back and forth all over the place for this guy.
It's really fun.
I
Probably.
want to have a tour first before we go to this Gallery of Shadows, is what I say.
Yes, well, I'm sure that the master will not mind waiting a little longer. And
He seems to like the anticipation anyway.
so Dimitri begins to lead you outside again.
I have a question.
Yep.
So, about holy water, how long does it last on like an arrowhead per se?
A minute?
Yeah, something like that.
Is it a minute? Okay.
And I'd say you can
Maybe
probably
right before.
dip about 5 pieces of ammunition. I don't know. I couldn't find any. I have the rules for holy water up in anticipation of this.
I would treat it basically as like a vial of poison
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
in terms of dipping arrows into it.
I thought it was like 3 was the general rule. But
If you want to give us 5, that's great.
Poison basic parentheses vial. You can use this poison to coat 1 slashing or piercing weapon or up to 3 pieces of ammunition. Applying the poison takes an action.
Oh, are we offline?
Are we?
My phone says we are, but my phone doesn't always know it's online.
Yes, go on. I have it up.
we're going. Okay, sorry.
Oh, I forgot to change the episode title. Oh well.
We're real professional streamers. Y'all.
We sure are.
Guaranteed.
So Dimitri begins to lead you out of the castle and back onto the foggy field. While you're with him, you notice that the skeletons that seem to be patrolling this outside area, they glance at you, but then continue walking, as if it doesn't trigger any alarm bells in their minds. He sets you out onto the field and sort of gestures and says, as you can see, we have 3 main towers. And he gestures towards
Which one is my shadow pulling toward?
the one to the right of the main entrance.
I'm going to point to that one and say, what's in that one?
Well, that would be our prison cell. Only the most stubborn of prisoners reside there.
Like who?
We have had a number of high-profile prisoners throughout the years.
Is that where you kept your pet dragon?
mm,
The one we took care
No. He resided in another location most of the time. He points to the tower and says, I believe we have, it's been quite a while since I was in the jail myself, but I believe we have some, well, they might be dead by now. We had some humans. I don't know how often we feed them. We've had some fiends throughout the years, and so on.
of. I'm going to say in my head to Kydus, which tower has the mirror in it?
As you're sort of looking around from tower to tower, your vision alights on what is, from your perspective, the back tower, but also the tallest tower. The jail one seemed to have like a typical pointed roof, as does the main front tower, but the back one has like a flat, similar to your conjured tower that you have. It has like that sort of ramparts and then flat top at the top. And as your eyes alight onto that one, he says, there, that one.
And I'll point to it. I want you to show us that tower.
That tower is off limits at the moment, but I imagine you would not want to go there now anyways.
I suggest that you take us there anyway.
Are you casting the spell?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't gotten a task suggestion for fucking ever.
Let's see. He's not immune to charm. Okay, what's your, it's a wisdom save?
It's a something save.
I think so.
Yes. Wisdom, and it is a DC 19.
Okay. Oops. It's only a 15.
Yeah.
Spell worked, you guys! The spell worked! Okay. I can't believe it.
And he says, certainly, but do not hold it against me or, of course, against my master when you see what resides up there at the moment. For I fear that it will be the end that...
We already hold him quite enough against your master, I think.
He sort of just nods his head and then begins to lead you back into the house.
And as we go, I will take a minute to like whisper to everyone, I think that's where Amandus is. I think that's where Amandus is.
You can also
I think that's where
message us.
Amandus is. Yeah, I could. I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
Alright.
Because I can actually just...
Yeah, just do the little pokey dance.
Okay. He leads you into the castle and up that flight of stairs immediately to the left, which takes you to an ornately decorated, almost like a ballroom. And you can see that there are, from here, several doorways that are open. One of them opens into what looks like a library. You can see dust-covered bookshelves and things like that in there. But the one that he takes you into is a... it looks like it was a large and... I'm trying to think of the right word, lavish bedroom of some kind. There are like divans and drapes of fine silks and things like that, of bright enough colors that even in this drab Shadowfell landscape where all the color is sapped from everything, you can tell that there were beautiful pinks and greens and blues and reds and all sorts of different colors decorating this room. And you can see that the bed here has sort of serpent heads coming from the posts. You gather that this was Ixlati's bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
There is one of those stands that you would keep jewelry on and things like that. But you can see that the mirror that was in there has been shattered and there's no more mirror in that place anymore. And then he leads you out onto a back patio which overlooks the chasm on the left side of the castle, and then across some ramparts going along the back, and into a set of double doors that open up into a spiral staircase going both up and down. And he says, unfortunately, beyond this point, I am not allowed to go myself, but you are welcome.
Thank
This
you
is the
very
tower
much.
that you wish to see.
Thank you very much, Dimitri. I appreciate it.
We'll be back shortly, I imagine.
And
go up this
he
way.
sort of gestures for you to go up the
Some of
tower.
us shorter than others.
We go up the stairs.
You ascend the dark stairway. There's no light in this tower whatsoever. So Eli probably casts light onto Hunter or Shield or something like that to illuminate the area. And you ascend up the tower, the winding spiral stairs, going up probably a good 50, 60 feet before finally the spiral stairs take you to the top ramparts. And when you ascend to the top, you can see that floating above the entire surface is pretty much bare for the most part. But in the center of the tower's top, there is floating above the ground, maybe 3 or 4 feet above the ground, a rotating sheet of what looks like it almost could be a mirror, but it's different. It's like a flat plane of energy almost, a black rippling, tainted with purple sort of energy that looks wholly and utterly evil. And as you see it, Kydus says, there's like a low growl in the back of your head, and he says, "That's it. That's what I was talking about. Something to do with this."
If Mandus is in there, how do we get him out?
Kydus says, I don't, I remember, and he gasps, and he
Like
says,
grab onto whoever's next to me.
"You have to leave this place immediately. I've just remembered.
What?
When a creature enters this place, something terrible emerges." And as he says that, there's a
I'm like
whooshing noise.
pulling you guys back toward the stairs. You guys, retreat, retreat!
There's a whooshing noise as a massive, dark, shadowy form ascends from what you can see down below the tower is like a courtyard with a withered tree and a broken stone well, like maybe 100 feet below at this point. And ascending to the top of the tower is a massive black form, and its clawed hand grabs onto the side of the tower and it pulls itself up. And you can see basically it is just a mass of shadowy energy with twisting horns curling up off of its head. I have a picture for this thing. And
It's what's his face from Fantasia.
We have the best times together.
as the creature alights onto the battlements, you hear Kydus' voice say, "Unfortunately, that's him. That's Morn."
That's Mandus?
Yes, and let me find the
I say
picture.
that out loud.
What?
Oh, it's in a different section. Hold on. LMN. There we go. Sorry, this is taking so long. I didn't have it prepared because I wasn't sure you guys would go here.
Of course, this is our first priority.
What's the name that Kydus keeps saying?
More.
Morn?
Morn, yes. It's the name that Mandus told you was his name before he took the name Mandus.
Yes.
Phew. That's
Ooh.
nasty.
That's pretty awesome.
And as it begins to grab onto the battlements, it extends its finger towards you.
Oh,
That
the
turned off.
phone turned off.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Well. Ooh, okay. It's like the Shadow of the Colossus guy.
Kinda, yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
I think we need to roll initiative.
Yeah!
Ooh.
Wait, this guy's Mandus?
That's what Kydus said.
Oh We can't kill him, you guys.
I'm worried that that's literally true.
Do you say whatever?
Yeah,
Did you roll that or that? Okay.
I feel like that sometimes.
It's okay. I don't really know what I would do anyway. It's one of those rare times where I don't care about what's going last. I'm just gonna cry in the corner.
How big is this creature?
It's enormous.
It is, in terms of D&D size categories, huge.
Dark. Okay. So what's the plan here?
Don't kill him!
What did Hunter and
Are we
Diablo
just
roll?
running?
No! It's Mandus!
Oh, okay.
We have to save him.
How do we do that?
I don't know!
What did Hunter and Diablo roll?
I got a 16, and Bianco got a
37.
yeah, 37 to 15.
16 and 15. Together again.
Aw.
Okay,
So, okay.
Thaddeus, I'm gonna put you after Diablo
Yeah.
just for simplicity,
Makes sense.
even though you rolled the same thing.
But he's got a heart.
Mara, you were up first. This creature is,
Oh, 16.
yeah, you're up first.
Yeah.
This creature is basically grabbing onto the battlements and extending its fingers out towards the group. And as you are within 30 feet of it, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
I think you get your bonus. Plus 4.
So,
Con save. I did bonus from him.
Oh, from you. Okay. So, 19.
19.
Do you have anything plus con? No.
You take 14 points of necrotic damage, as just being near this thing is oppressive to life. You can feel waves of dark energy emitting off of it.
Oh boy.
What would you like to do with your turn?
Pray.
To which gods?
Okay. Let's see. What shall we do? He is dark energy. He's dark. So, can I use my action to make one of my arrows fire? Make it into a fire arrow and a bonus action to shoot it?
How would you make it a fire arrow? Just like
Just like
light it on fire?
wrap cloth around it that I have and oil that I have.
Okay. I'd say, yeah, since you're...
For my short bow.
I'd say sure, why not?
That's what I'm trying
So yeah, if it hits, it'll do a little extra fire damage.
It's light. I'm just,
Yeah. But I don't think you can attack on the same turn.
well, that's why I was asking if I can use my bonus action to
Since
actually
like
shoot it.
rogues can use their bonus action to be quick at things, I'm gonna allow
Oh,
you to
yeah.
use
Bonus
use
action
your bonus
to
action.
make the arrow and then
Yeah.
action to attack.
Yep, I'll allow it.
Makes sense.
Oh my god.
What is it if I?
Plus.
14.
That hits.
Wait.
This creature is large and not difficult to hit.
Okay, so what do I get? Not much. Sneak attack?
Mm,
No.
No one is near it. Like, no one's within 5 feet of it at the moment.
Okay, so 9.
How much extra fire damage does it do?
We'll say it does an extra d6 fire damage.
Cool. So 14 damage.
Okay, not bad. So it did an extra 5 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Hunter, you're up.
Did we notice the arrows have any lessened effects?
Mara's bow shots count as magical from her short bow. And no,
Arrow,
they seemed fine.
Okay.
The fire, however, was lessened. But you don't want to kill this thing anyway, so.
Well, I mean, if we're not gonna kill it, then maybe we should just leave.
Well,
It's Mandus. We have to figure out how to save
I
him.
know, that's why I was trying to get the shadows away.
Yeah, but
I
you
know
need
that.
like radiant damage, not
Yeah,
fire damage.
fire. Okay.
I guess I'll just try and weaken this shadow beast. I'm gonna. How much room do we have to back up to not be in his aura? Are we
You've
in
probably.
his aura still?
Well, yeah, you're gonna start there, so I need a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
But then you can back up out of it, just fine.
Is a 20.
Okay, you take 14 points of necrotic damage.
Oh god.
But then you want to back up, and it's about maybe 30 feet back from him that you start to feel like the oppressive nature is removing itself from you.
That's not much. Okay. Yeah, I'll make a bow shot against it, I guess.
Okay.
With all the business there, sharpshooter and stuff. I don't need to use the scope though, because I already have advantage. And then that is a 26 to hit.
Hits.
And then I'm just gonna do a regular shot to see what it does. That is 23 piercing damage.
Okay. The effect of that does seem to be lessened, since it's not
He's
magic.
He's not immune. Okay. It's a crit.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I'm gonna use the bowstring on this one, I think. And, let's see here, what do we get? It's an 8, so that is Petrify, which is a dex save.
It's immune to petrification, but the damage will be magic. So,
So I will do this. That is plus 18, that's 32 magic damage.
Okay.
And then I got a 23 to hit. And that is 20 piercing damage on the third shot.
okay,
Mandus damage.
great. And you moved out of the aura. Sorry, Mara, on your turn, did you want to move away from this thing to try and escape that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So Mara and Hunter are both backed up. About 40 feet away or so. Byakko needs to make a Constitution saving throw.
Sure. I don't know. I want Bianca to go in there. I think I might just have him hang back for a little bit. Oh, he rolled that 20. Good job, Bianco. So that's a 26.
Okay. Byakko takes no damage.
Great.
And
Good job, Bianco.
he feels that you can see like the oppressive dark energy is congregating around him, but his light spirit energy seems to be pulsing out and repelling it for now.
The prince. And I will call Bianco to me, have him stay by my side for now.
Okay.
So I don't think he can get much done over there.
Thaddeus, it's then your turn.
Alright, I don't know if any spells are currently affecting this thing.
I
so-
do need a Constitution save.
that is going to be a 21.
Okay, you take no necrotic damage. And you can see the same light that seems to be protecting Byakko is also protecting Thaddeus at this moment.
Great.
So I'm going to go, I think, closer to this thing.
Okay.
And
As you get closer to it, Harmony, did you call out that it's Mandus?
Yes.
Yeah. As you get closer, you can. It's almost as if there's like that double vision. You can sort of see the form of Mandus beneath the shadows, as if he were enlarged in his human form into this creature.
I'll call out to him, Mandus, tell us what we need to do to help you.
Its head turns towards you, and it just begins to point its finger at you.
Yeah, I guess I'm making. Is that like a check I need to make? Or?
You could make an Arcana check with a very high DC.
Okay. But I'm trying to get it to tell me something.
You could make a Persuasion check with a very high DC.
Okay.
That's better.
That's better. Well, that's not gonna do it. The 12.
Yeah, it just points that finger down at you, and you can begin to see like dark energy crackling from its finger.
And I think I'll just turn back to Harmony and says, do you know what? And look, and I think he'll look at Eli. What do I do?
I forgot to put Eli in this initiative. Shoot. Which is fine because he is really slow today. He's back with Harmony at 4. Eli kind of looks at you and shrugs.
I'm working on it.
Mandus then in his shadowy form. Let's see, who has failed Constitution saving throws? Mara has, and Hunter has. Okay, Hunter.
Yeah.
It swings its finger from Thaddeus. Sorry, no. That will go to Thaddeus. Thaddeus, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. Way better deals.
It swings its finger. I like that.
19.
19. Is unfortunately not enough to avoid the damage, so you take 26 necrotic damage, but you're immune to being frightened. So, the secondary effect does not trigger onto you.
Okay.
You can feel this, like, it's as if, like, the very life energy is being leached from your body into its finger, and you can see it almost seems to, like, grow. It's like its shadows increase as it absorbs your life. But
I should have my sword out at this point.
but it doesn't affect you in terms of the fear. And then it will point another finger at Hunter and make an attack, which is going to hit at a
Use my scope.
31. Oh no, you're a ways away. It actually can't do that.
Yeah.
So it'll do it to Thaddeus instead.
Okay.
So that's 31
To hit?
Yep.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
So that's 28 necrotic damage,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to make a Constitution saving throw.
That's 22.
Okay, so your hit point maximum is not reduced by that amount.
Okay.
Oh wow. Jeez.
And then it sort of pulls its way up onto the tower fully and stands to its full height of 30 or 40 feet. And then it is Harmony's turn, and I need a Constitution save from you since you're next to it.
Do I still get my bonus from Fatty?
Yes, because Thaddeus did not run away.
Okay. That would be Constitution.
Yep.
So, 22, 26.
Alright, you took no necrotic damage.
No?
Very nice. Yep. But you find yourself standing before this thing. It's
Is
pretty
it-
much right at its feet.
Oh no. The
And
mirror
as your
thing? What's
turn
it doing?
it is rotating slowly behind Mara, Hunter, and Biapko. But I was going to point out, as your turn starts, you hear Kydus' voice continue. He says, I'm starting to remember more and more.
Tell me everything.
These creatures, when a creature enters the mirror, this plane, whatever it is, one of these things emerges, and it is the creature that entered, but it isn't.
So, if I... Oh my god, this is really gonna sound crazy, but if I jump in there and bring Madness out, will this thing go away?
I think that I was in there for a long time, and you can't escape from within unless that thing goes in. And he sort of then, like you can almost like feel the cogs in his brain turning, like he's trying to think to give you more information.
This thing needs to go inside,
If
back
that
in the
thing
mirror.
goes in, Morn comes out.
Okay, so I'm gonna look up at the big thing and I'm gonna say, I suggest you go back in there and go to your room. Yeah, I'm casting suggestion on it.
Okay.
I point to the portal and I say, I suggest you go back in there.
All right. Let's take a look. What do we have?
Oh,
It's not immune to charm.
no wild magic.
It's a what sort of save?
It's wisdom.
Oh my god. Please work.
Oops, I just closed the suggestion spell I was about to read thoroughly.
I hope this works. That'd be so good.
My level 2 spell. My measly little level 2 spell.
Systematically influence a creature you can see within range that can see, hear, and understand. Sorry, hear and understand you. This thing should be able to understand you, I think. Sure, I think so. Except languages are ... but it should still be able to understand.
It failed at saving throw, didn't
It did fail at save. I'm just making sure it works.
Oh my god! What time?
Otherwise, you wouldn't really.
I knew I kept suggestion for a reason.
It begins to turn its head towards the mirror.
Like, no one else touch it!
Eli needs to make a Constitution saving throw.
No one else lay a hand on it! Don't attack it!
Does
Just
Harmony
stop!
move away from him?
I would assume you would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you come up to its ankle?
Eli is in serious pain as
Oh no.
Oh god.
Did you get my bonus?
he rolled a natural one.
Eli.
But he runs over behind.
Yeah, basically, since we have the same initiative, I like to imagine that I'm like yelling, "Nobody touch him!" and I grab Eli and book it back out of the
Okay, yep.
out of the aura.
Mara, it's your turn.
Well, is the creature moving?
It's
not
not
yet.
his turn.
It turned its head in
It's
that
not his
direction.
turn yet. You gotta wait for his turn.
So I can't touch it, I can't help push it.
Don't do anything. Just
Okay, so I'll hold an action. It's then work.
to do what? What's the trigger and what's the action?
If he doesn't move towards the hole, I'm going to call out to it so it looks at me, so someone else can shove it in there.
Okay. So that's Mara. Then Hunter. You guys are also kind of standing in its path right now.
Yeah, we're
we
moving
are?
out of the way. I
So
assume
let's
that
move away.
Okay.
So, can you explain the room again?
It's not a
little bit,
room.
just so I
You're
know where
on.
to go?
You're on the top of a circular tower, so it's basically flat, except for the battlements that go around. And then in the center, there is this vertical plane that seems to be floating above the ground a little ways. It's almost like a mirror, but it also has like these dark rippling shadow parts to it.
Okay. I'd like to move towards the party, but also staying out of its radius, and then as it moves out of that radius. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, you can skirt around the edges of the tower just fine, and then stay out of its
Yes.
way. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'd like to do.
Taking Byakko with you?
Yep, Biakko's coming with. Come on, Byakko.
Thaddeus, I need a Constitution saving throw.
Good boy.
16.
16, you take 14 points of necrotic damage.
And I think that is, at this point, we'll try to get out of its order.
Okay.
And as well as out of its way.
So you're gonna run to the side of the tower where Hunter and Byakko and Mara have gone?
Yeah.
Or actually, Mara, you stayed in its path to potentially shove it in.
I want it to be,
Well, you can step to the side of it, but still be ready to push it.
well, I want it to be between, to have him in between.
Remember, it is a huge creature.
I know.
So you don't want to
Because
stand, because right now you're between him and the mirror, but you want to,
I want to be
you
on
want
the outside and him on the inside, so
Right.
that when he looks at me, I want him to look at me and not the mirror.
It rises
Past the
to...
mirror, right?
Okay, so she had moved out of its path and behind it.
Good to know. It rises to its full height and then strides slowly towards the plane, reaching out a hand, touching the edge of it, and then you watch as the plane begins to slowly suck it in bit by bit, and it disappears until finally the last bit of it to step in is the almost like cloven foot that it had, and it steps into the plane, and then there's just the peal of thunder ripples across the sky. Harmony, it's your turn.
Kydus? Now what? Where is he?
don't know. I just know that he couldn't come out until that thing went in. It's possible he's still in there somewhere, but hasn't made it out yet. I don't know.
I'm gonna run up to the thing. I'm not gonna go in it, but I'll
Right.
run up to it and I'll just shout, Mandus!
As you run up to it, you can feel the black stone on your ring resonating, like it's almost pulsing as you're like and drawing your hand closer to this surface.
Oh god. Can I do an Arcana check to try and figure out
Sure. Roll an Arcana check.
what is happening?
I will say DC of 20 to get any sort of information.
Oh, that's good. 26.
26. Okay. You know you're on.
Wow.
You're in the Shadowfell, right? Which is the plane of shadow in general.
Yes.
But shadow energy encompasses a mere part of what is the greater sphere of negative energy. And there is a plane where negative energy, basically the opposite of the energy that is channeled for healing magic, exists. It's sort of an elemental plane of negative energy. And that's where like necrotic damage dealing spells and things like that draw their power from. This seems to be a gateway of sorts from the Shadowfell to a further plane, negative energy plane.
I see.
And the ring is drawing you towards it, which insinuates that there's some connection between this ring and the other side of that.
Okay. I'm not going to do anything with that.
Okay.
But I'm going to say, just shout into it. Mandus, if you can hear my voice, you have to come out now.
Alright, roll a persuasion check at disadvantage.
Okay.
No, don't use this one. That was better. No. It's the important decision.
16.
16, okay, that's pretty good. The glass plane of it ripples a little bit as it begins to turn slowly still. At this point, you don't have to stick to initiative. What do the rest of you want to do, sort of gathering around this plane of energy that is drifting around the top of the stela?
I think I want to help Harmony with what she's doing, like calling
That's
in.
exactly what I was gonna do. Yeah, rush to Harmony and start calling the Mantis.
Okay, so I would say that Harmony, you can make another check at advantage with everyone's help as you're all just sort of calling, Mandus, you have to come out now! Or whatever you would shout. I guess what would you guys be shouting?
Go to your room, Mantis.
No,
Mandus, we need you here!
We're here, Mantis.
We don't have for you.
And you, Harmony, you can hear Kydus' voice shouting out telepathically as well. He says, Morn! You have to exit there! Your friends are waiting for you! I'm waiting for you!
Oh
It's okay. I mean, that's another 16.
no!
16?
But I already had advantage, though. I don't
mean-
think Tides of Chaos can give me
No,
another
oh
advantage.
no, what was it? Bad luck. That's what I was thinking.
I do have bad luck. But I can only add a maximum of 4.
But you could get 4.
Hold on. Before you, as you guys are casting this, Eli adds guidance, which will give you an extra D4, which I will roll. An extra 4 for 20.
So it's 20?
You want to bend luck on top of that?
Yeah. It's
Two.
another 2.
22? Okay. All of you shouting, including Kydus' mental energy, shouting towards this planar gate, and you see it ripple again and again as loud peals of thunder crack in the distance and flashes of lightning illuminate the sky, and then you see a hand on the other side of the plane, just a
I grab it.
handprint.
Take it, Hunter.
You reach in and grab it.
Don't reach into
Yeah.
the plane.
I'm pulling. Wait, it comes out of the portal, right?
No, it
No, it's on
doesn't.
the other side.
Oh.
No, let's
Okay, well, you
lasso
bring
it.
it
Let's
around.
lasso it or mage hand it to help it out or something.
Yeah, we thought it came out.
Does anyone want to? No, it's like on the other side of the window right now. Right, if you want to reach in and grab
I
it.
stick my staff in for him to grab
I'll
onto.
reach it in my hand.
Okay, Thaddeus, you reach in your hand. You
I'm not
take
afraid of anything.
4 points of necrotic damage,
Uh-huh.
and
I grab Thaddeus.
you can feel your hand like withering every second it's in there, and you pull out. Make a strength
I'm
check at
helping.
advantage with Harmony helping to pull you out.
Ooh, very good. That's a 26.
26. You pull out, basically, as you begin to pull this hand towards you, you can see skin that, I mean, it could be Mandus, you don't know at this point, but you're pulling something out, some creature. You get up to about its shoulder, and you can see that there is more of the form being pressed against the other side of the glass.
Hunter.
Hunter!
Have anything that's there, and I pull too.
Yep, okay. So Hunter, now you can make a strength check at advantage.
Alright, that is just a strength check.
Uh-huh.
At advantage.
Is 25.
25. With that, there's a heavy pull, and you see Mandus's head with his long Hugh Jackman hair emerge from the portal. You can see that he has like dark marks from like the same sort of mark you had on the palm of your hand, just sort of all over his body. His veins are like bulging and purple, but as you pull him out into this area, they seem to recede a little bit, and he just collapses to the ground on the foot of the tower as another peal of thunder rings in the distance. And Mandus does not appear to be breathing at this point in time.
Eli.
Yeah, Eli rushes forward and puts his hands down on him and sort of assesses the situation.
Make him eat a good berry.
Shove in good berries.
Eli says, "He's alive. I can stabilize him, or I could pour some energy into him to try and heal
Put
him."
some good berries in his mouth.
Berries, good berries, good berries.
One good berry. I have a good berry.
Me too.
You force the good berry into his mouth, force him to chew a little bit, and then there's a sputter of life. And Mandus comes back to consciousness in the group of your arms.
I just hug him.
I hug him too.
And as this happens, there's another rippling disturbance from the mirror, and you watch as dark shadow-like figures begin to erupt from the mirror, seemingly following Mandus out and begin circling the tower.
Oh dear.
And as they do so, you hear a sound from the spiral staircase area, just and you turn around to see Alkeen there, and he says, "I'm just going to put him right back." And then he takes a battle position, and that's where we'll pick up next week. Jeez, guys, that was awesome.
I can't believe
Oh my god.
That was the way we're going to be using the panelist chat this week.
100%.
Meta.
Also, like, best 2 uses of suggestion in the entire campaign.
I had no idea that suggestion would work on that thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like looking at it, I'm like, it doesn't have legendary resistances, it's not immune to charm. The only thing that would be there is its languages, but I'm assuming like it knows the languages it understood in life.
Yeah.
It's so funny. My only thought was somebody would creep up behind it while I call it, and it's looking at me, and then we all shove it in.
Yeah.
And jumps over.
Well, I was like, how are we gonna get this giant thing to go willingly into this portal? It's like, hey, I have a spell that does that.
I was going to give you some hints that these things are like drawn to positive energy, so like, you know, some people with healing or something like that could like lure it that direction, and then you could try and push it in or something like that. But no need.
That works.
Yep.
We beat it with the... Okay, what challenge rating was it? Because...
Do you want to know?
Yes.
20.
Because we beat it with a fucking level 2 spell.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well,
part of that
and a bunch of
Well, a bunch
Checks.
of damage, but
part of
like,
that is my bad for putting it right next to the plane of the negative energy plane, but still, like, this thing isn't your main boss.
Yes.
anyways.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we didn't have to waste a lot of
I didn't want you to full on fight this thing.
resources on this.
Yeah.
we
I
didn't
meant to
want
have this thing flying around the castle when I first described it, and I completely spaced. And then when you got inside and like started sitting for dinner, I was like, oh shoot, I forgot something important.
I think it was more epic this way because
Yeah.
it came out of nowhere.
I thought it was
Yeah,
great.
It was great.
When I saw this creature in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, I was like, I want to put this in somewhere. And then I was going back and forth on like where I could put it in, but I was like, they're so sick of combat at this point. And so I was like, going back and forth, I was like, does Alkeen just have one? Like, that's boring, there's no story to it. And then I remembered, wait, he has a powerful mortal creature which he can put on the other side of the plane to draw undead out of there.
Ooh.
It's perfect! So yeah, it all worked out.
Yeah, this
Oh
was
my
cool.
god, you guys.
Thank you to anyone who tuned in to watch. We really had fun tonight. At least I did. I think that you guys did too.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week, 7 p.m. Monday, Pacific time. Not in that order. So we hope you come back and watch again. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.